Welcome back, and we are now in 2026, and as this article says, y'all thought stocks and crypto would soar in 2025, and for the most part, well, crypto didn't, but stocks definitely did. And now we're seeing massive moves in the silver prices as we're entering 2026. Does this mean that crypto is going up? Because I'm seeing a lot of posts, a lot of social media sentiment from the Bitcoin and Bitcoin treasury and crypto bulls saying that silver is basically letting us know that crypto and all risk on assets are going to soar. In today's video, we're going to be exploring what is going on in the markets now that we're in the new year, where the crypto prices are going, where silver is going, how long we're going to see the silver prices continuing to soar to the upside. And more importantly, we're going to look at historical context and pricing on the Bitcoin cycle and where we are currently in the Bitcoin cycle versus where we were one cycle ago to understand where 2026 is going to bring us. Because remember, bulls make money, bears make money. But if you are a little greedy, they call those pigs in the market, and obviously pigs turn into bacon. Don't forget to give this video a free thumbs up. Also hit the subscribe button. That way you never miss a new video. We upload every single day of the year. We're going to be starting right here with this article from DeFi Llama stating normies are losing interest in crypto, but advocates say the 10-year Bitcoin grind will pay off. And then we're going to talk about silver. Then we're going to talk about the crypto markets and the treasury companies, because we have been making so much money in this market in 2025 and 2026. Hopefully we're going to make money either whether the market goes up or the market goes down. We're still going to do it. Let's get into today's topics, starting out. Now, as I've explained, right, it doesn't matter whether the market's going up or down. You could still make money in the markets if you understand what's going on and how these markets are moving. Normies are losing interest in crypto, and I would agree. Remember what I've said over and over on this channel, right? When there are certain indicators that when you're in the market long enough, you start to notice these things, right? I called peak euphoria in the market when all these Bitcoin treasuries started popping up. I also told you guys that you'll start to get phone calls, text messages, DMs, whatever it is, from people that you rarely either hear from or rarely hear about, just investing in general. And typically when you get those calls, you're at the top of the market, right? Because everybody's talking about making money in crypto, making money in silver, making money in the stock market, making money in AI. When everybody's talking about it, typically it's too late. And then you have to bet against the market or kind of just pull back, right? That's typically not the time to invest. Well, now the normies are losing interest, but does this mean it's time to buy? Well, Mario Naufal, who's well known on X, he said that there's close to no retail interest in crypto right now. He said none of my normie friends or family ask me about anything in crypto anymore. And this is true, right? We're at the end of 2025. The market has kind of not really performed the way that, the bulls, they're pushed. They just keep moving the goalposts, right? Extended cycle. The Bitcoin cycle's dead. Don't worry. 2026 is going to be the year. What I'm going to show you in a few minutes is I believe 2026 is actually going to be more downtrending, especially in the first half of the year. And we're going to look at historical prices on Bitcoin. But before we go there, let's talk about what we're kind of walking into and now in 2026. The first thing that we have to keep an eye out is the first Federal Reserve meeting of the year in January. It's at the end of January. And as I've explained, January is really a wait and see month, right? It doesn't matter whether the market's going up in January or the market's going down in January. What matters is what happens in January. Because in my view, if the market is going up and then the Federal Reserve at the end of January says we are no longer raising rates or we're going to slow down raising rates or whatever they do, and they pause rate cuts, okay, that is going to be bearish for the market. Like the market's not going to like that. And in my view, if the market's going up in January, that means, and then the Federal Reserve says no more rate cuts right now, the market's going to go down in February, March, and potentially even April and May. And as I'm going to show you a little bit later in the video, when we're talking about the Bitcoin historical price context, it kind of goes with where the cycle is and kind of goes with the 4-year cycle, even though everybody keeps saying the 4-year cycle is done. Now, if January goes down and then, the market's kind of pricing in the Federal Reserve pausing rate cuts, that could be a little bit bullish, maybe a relief rally, maybe a little bit of a pump into February, March, April. But generally speaking, the first half of the year is going to be very volatile. And typically, volatility is what you want to trade, but you don't want to buy for the long term in volatility, because volatility doesn't tell you where the market is or where the market's going. And so that brings us to silver, because we have seen extreme moves in silver recently. Now, a lot of this has to do with the anticipation of China supposedly restricting silver exports at the beginning of January, which we're now in, and when I'm recording this video at least. Personally, I don't know that, like, how much higher we're going to go in silver. I'm not a precious metals trader. But again, the way that cycles work, the way that the psychology of the markets work, it's the same for whether you're talking about AI, Bitcoin mining companies that pivoted to AI, Bitcoin treasury companies, cryptocurrency, altcoins. They all basically operate in the same way. And now that everybody's talking about silver and everybody's saying, you got to buy silver, it's going to go to $300, right? These are the people who've already owned silver. And so they need somebody to keep bidding it up so that they can exit / are already exiting, right? And so once you start to see mainstream talking about it and everybody on social media talking about it, and definitely the silver and precious metal bugs talking about, oh, you got to buy, we're going much, much higher. And we've already tripled in just 2025. I mean, look at silver, iShares Silver Trust, this BlackRock's ETF. It went from $30 to $70 just in the second half of 2025. If we pull back to 1 year, you can see it was at $27 and we're almost at $75, which is almost a 3x. Silver futures contracts, these are continuous contracts. You can see $30 in January of 2025, and now we're almost triple that as well. And so a 3x, this is better performance than most cryptos in general, right, in 2025. Now, Peter Brand, who's a well-known futures trader and does give his analysis, we cover it a lot on this channel. He had a lot to say about what's been going on with silver, and he's been saying this for quite a while, and since December. He posted this chart and said, this time will not be different. I've traded 6 different decades, 60 years. Every time there's been a supply and demand imbalance in commodity markets, I've heard the phrase, this time is different. It has never been different, never will be, so enjoy it now. Basically saying this peak euphoria, this euphoric banana zone move in silver, it's not going to last, right? It's going on right now, but this is also the market pricing in what China is going to do with restrictions. But let's keep in mind, there is no shortage of silver, okay? There's a lot of people who've been holding silver. There's a lot of people who hoard silver. Think about all the jewelry stores that have all this silver that they can't sell. You don't think that they're selling now that the price is 3 or 4x what it was 1 year ago? Of course they are. And guess who they're selling it to? You. That's who they're selling it to. And not literally you. I mean, many of you guys are probably not like hoarding silver, but basically the retail traders, right? They're going to be left holding the bag, as they always do in crypto, in Bitcoin treasuries, and in these commodities. Now, I'm not saying it's not going to go higher. I'm not saying that we've already hit the top. I don't know. I don't know where the top is going to be. But these kind of moves in the market always follow the same market cycle, right? Think about the psychology of the market cycle chart that we always show on this channel. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, make sure you guys are subscribed. That way you don't miss any of our new videos where we will be showing it in future videos and past videos. Go look at the other videos that I posted on this channel. And by the way, you can also become a channel member right here on the channel by clicking the join button down below here on YouTube to learn more about becoming a channel member. Thanks to all of our channel members who support this channel every single month. Some of you guys have been around for years at this point, and I truly appreciate all the support no matter what level you're at in the membership. But if you don't want to support or don't have the money to support because you're buying silver at all-time record highs, at least give me a thumbs up on the video down below. Anyway, so silver is also showing a lot of ups and downs, right? A lot of volatility. And typically, when you see volatility and extreme volatility and continued volatility, This is also a signal of the market rotating, right? Of sellers selling and buyers buying. And so if sellers are selling and buyers are buying because they think the price is going to go higher, but you have the sellers selling and the price goes lower. The same thing happened with MicroStrategy, with all these Bitcoin treasury companies. In the middle of 2025, they all said, we're going to start buying Bitcoin. We're going to start becoming Bitcoin treasury companies. And everybody was like, oh, I'm going to buy, I'm going to buy, I'm going to buy. Well, guess what? You were buying what they were selling because all the OG whales have been selling. Well, not all of them, but a lot of them. They've been selling their Bitcoin all year, the whales. And people on my channel are saying in the comments, no, the whales aren't selling Cryptoviser. It's like, well, why is the price going down when all of this buying is going on? It's because the whales are selling what you are buying. And so the way that we invest is we buy low, sell high. And so when you have this peak euphoria in the market where everybody's talking about silver, everybody's talking about MicroStrategy, everybody's talking about Bitcoin, it's not the time to buy. You buy when they're saying, oh, well, silver is a crappy investment, as a lot of people have been doing for years. And they're now 3x in their portfolios or in their holdings of silver. And you don't think they're selling? Of course they are. Peter Brandt reposted that previous tweet that I just showed you. And he said, time to retweet this. In commodities, it will always be true. Silver might go to 100,000, 150,000, wherever, but it does not need to go there now. The price action has nothing to do with supply shortages. This is now a game of money. And I would agree. There's no shortage of silver, guys. Like there's no, I was just watching a YouTube video the other day of like this like silver and gold dealer. And they had a whole warehouse full of this shit. Okay. Just bars and bars and bars. They're not doing anything with it. They're just holding it. And so if the price triples, think about it, these large warehouses, the price triples. You don't think that they're selling? Of course they're selling. Of course they are. And so you're not going to see the immediate move from, like this whole idea that there's a no supply. It's the same thing in the previous cycle in crypto in 2020, 2021, where you had all these people buying these Richard Mille watches for, hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars. And all the dealers are like, oh yeah, these are very rare. And it's like, I just watched 30 videos where different dealers had hundreds of these watches. So they're not clearly not that rare. And by the way, it's very rare that somebody's going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on a watch. So in that sense, yes, it is rare. But now those Richard Mille watches are worth half the price or 30% of the price that it was just a few years ago. And so this idea that silver is so rare and that we're going to have a massive supply shock. No, this is all just a narrative in my view. I could be wrong, and I'm not saying that we're at the top, but these are the things that we have to look for in 2026, because I personally believe 2026 is going to be, at least the beginning half of the year is going to be a downtrending in most markets. And so we have to look for those signals of when we sell, when we buy puts, when we buy calls, when we buy ETFs, inverse ETFs, and all of that, as we talk about regularly on this channel. Peter Brandt also posted this saying, he said this on the end of December. He said, this is now the largest daily range in the history of silver, likely also to become the largest single day volume in history. Tops, local or longer term tops, don't happen with this much pizzazz very often. And basically he's saying like this is the largest wick that you've seen, right? The largest daily range, where it was from, it looks like $70 to about $85, $90 just in one day. And you typically don't see that kind of volatility in these markets, right? But that means that there's a lot of buying and there's also a lot of selling. And so the people who are buying now, they now become the bag holders, because we could go much higher, but the likelihood that it does that is less because we've already banana zoned. And Peter Brandt has been talking about this for weeks now. And you can see this chart. This is the COMEX silver, huge gains since the beginning of 2025. This is literally what Raoul Pal talks about, banana zone. And so after banana zone, you correct banana zone to the downside, right? So he said the silver move is powerful. It will not end until all the shorts bleed to death. I expect the top to come within a $10 to $15 daily range, meaning you're going to see the daily range of the price go up and down $10 to $15. And that would indicate the top of the market. And I would basically agree with what he's saying here, right? Am I trying to call the top or bottom of the market? Not really, but this chart looks very, very topish. Look at IRIN. look at TerraWolf, look at Cypher Mining, look at MicroStrategy. They all look the same during peak euphoria. And so, Morning Brew posted this on X saying, y'all thought stocks in crypto would soar. And for the most part, we did have a lot of soaring in crypto and stocks. But basically, the end of the year, the S&P was up, right? All-time record highs. But Bitcoin, a lot of people thought it was going to be between 105,000 and 150,000 by the end of 2025. And that is not what happened. I posted this about a month ago, right? This poll on my YouTube page. And if you guys want to take the poll or look at my other polls and some other context from the previous posts that I put up, click on my YouTube logo down below and then go to my YouTube page, click on the posts tab, and then you could scroll down and look. But I wrote in the end of November, in December, Bitcoin will, one, go back above $100,000, two, stay around $80,000 to $100,000, three, go lower than $80,000 or just show the results. And you can see here, most people were bullish. And you guys know what I think. When most people are bullish, I'm either neutral or bearish. And look at the one that got the least amount besides show results only, was stay around $80,000 to $100,000. And that's exactly what Bitcoin did in December. And this had the lowest amount of votes. Highest amount of votes, incorrect. Lowest amount of votes, correct. And so everybody's bullish about silver, but guess what is actually going on? Potential topping out in that market. And so Peter Brandt said this on X as well. And this, I think, has to do with crypto and, all of these other metals and stocks. He said, I've been through many, many huge bull market cycles in metals, grains, softs, livestock, altcoins, and all. There is a point when late to buy bulls swear that they will never get out, right? We hear this in micro, I'm never selling my MicroStrategy. I'm never selling my Ethereum. I'm never selling my Bitcoin. It's like, then what is the point of investing in the first place, right? You want to increase the value of these coins, and maybe you don't sell ever, right? But if you're looking to capitalize on these market moves, which is what this channel is about, right? We've called the top of the market this cycle to the fucking day. Last cycle, we called the bottom of the market, FTX collapse to the day. We didn't know it was going to be FTX, but we knew that it was going to be approximately 1 year after the top of the market. And it was to the day, exactly 1 year since the top of the market, the bottom of the market was. I don't know how that works. It just does, right? I mean, every cycle previously, top of the market to bottom of the market is approximately 1 year, give or take a few days. And I think that just has to do with kind of how the markets move. But Peter Brandt said, these late to buy bulls, right? People who just become bullish when everybody's talking about it, they swear they'll never get out. And that they will hang on even if the prices go to zero. We've heard this from the MicroStrategy bulls. They're already down 60% in 2025. And they're like, well, I'm the most bullish I've ever been. And I'm going to hold this till it goes to zero because this is the best investment. It's like, clearly it's not the best investment, right? I mean, clearly it's not. He said in almost every case, the low of the next decline, meaning the bottom of the market, comes about when these stubborn longs finally have had enough. And that is called capitulation. We've talked about this, right? When the bulls become bears, that's when I start buying because that's when the capitulation is occurring, right? When FTX collapsed. I was talking about FTX earlier in 2020, what year was 2022? About BlockFi went down, Celsius went down, Voyager went down, and then FTX was supposedly trying to buy BlockFi for like $10 billion or whatever it was, but they didn't have the money. And I'm like, wait, I thought FTX was like the most wealthy and profitable company in the history of the planet, and they don't have the money to buy BlockFi? That seemed weird. Nobody watched those videos. So when FTX collapsed, we on this channel were prepared, and we were buying that bottom. I mean, people were coming on my channel saying, Cryptoviser, you were right. This is the bottom of the market. I'm buying. And you know what everybody else on YouTube and Twitter and social media were doing? Oh my God, I think Binance is going to go down next. FTX went down. It has to be Binance. That's why it's all happening, because Binance is going to go down and Bitcoin's going to go to $0. And everybody was freaking out because they didn't understand these market cycles. And this is exactly what Peter Brandt is saying here. When they are capitulating, that's the bottom. He said, when they say that they no longer care if prices go to 0 or a million, they've had enough pain and they want out. It happens every time. Not sure if this is the case now with silver. Only time will tell. But it's starting to happen in crypto. Grant Cardone said this. Cardone, who's a well-known real estate investor who recently kind of converted to a Bitcoin maximalist in 2025, he said, seems like a concerted effort to hold Bitcoin at lower prices. Hey, Michael Saylor, what's happening? I need inspiration for my conviction, Bitcoin, right? And clearly, Grant has never seen this chart, which is unbelievable. How can any Bitcoin investor, how can any Bitcoin YouTube channel not talk about the Bitcoin halving chart? There's very few that do talk about it, but there are some. But this Bitcoin halving chart has kept us on the right side of this market this entire cycle. We have called the top of the market. We called the bottom of the market. We know basically how many days we have left. I mean, I was saying, go to my posts tab on YouTube and go look at my post from the middle of the year. I told you guys in the middle of 2025, I said there's less than 100 days left until we hit the top. And it was, I had a green line right here at about 540, 550 days stating the top will be before this. And it was. This is not like I'm a genius or I can predict the future or I can, see things. Like this was clear just based on the halving chart, days since the halving. We've never hit a high after the 550-day mark. And so could I have been wrong? Absolutely. But I wasn't, because the chart wasn't wrong and the cycles are not dead. And again, a lot of these influencers, these big influencers keep saying the 4-year cycle is dead because they're just moving the goalposts. We're going from a 4-year cycle to a 5-year cycle to a 6-year cycle because of the business cycle. No, you guys, if you understand Bitcoin, the Bitcoin 4-year cycle is coded in. And so it can't be over unless Bitcoin's over. And if Bitcoin's over, well, the price is going to 0. And that brings us to the last cycle. In the last cycle, in 2022, we were here. We were at $47,000, which is much lower than the all-time record high at that point, which was about $70,000, right? But I want you guys to see this. From January of 2022, we were at $47,000 Bitcoin. By the end of June, so basically July of 2022, we were less than half. We were at $21,000. And so from January to June, the Bitcoin price got cut in half. The Ethereum price got cut by about 60 or 70%. And so these people who are saying, oh no, we're not going lower. I mean, we have an extended cycle, Cryptoviser. They're full of shit. We are going much lower in the market. And this is going, I don't know what's going to cause it, right? I think maybe some issues with MicroStrategy, maybe some liquidations with the Bitcoin treasury companies, maybe just lack of interest. I don't know. But what I do know is that we still have further to go down. And so do I want to be betting that the market's going to go to all-time record highs in 2026 like all of these billionaires are pushing? They don't even understand the Bitcoin halving chart that I have on the screen right now, the most basic of the basics for Bitcoin. And you're telling me they're not showing this chart and I should take anything that they have into account for my investment thesis? BS. In fact, I'm going to bet harder against that the market's going to go to all-time record highs next year. And by the way, you also have to look at conflicts of interest, right? People they'll keep posting on social media videos from a year ago. Oh, Michael Saylor said we're going to hit all-time highs. And it's like, that's from a year ago and we didn't do it. Oh, well, this person said that Bitcoin's going to go up. It's like they're the CEO of a Bitcoin ETF. Like, you think that they're going to be bearish? Oh, well, Tom Lee said that this is going to happen. It's like he also said we were going to hit $250,000 by the end of 2025. That didn't happen either. And so I don't care who says what. I'm looking at this chart. That's it. This is not the only thing that I look at, obviously, but this is telling us where we're going in 2026, and it's lower. And so don't get it twisted. Like I said at the beginning of the video, right? Bulls make money, bears make money. So how do we make money, right? Gordon Gekko, who used to be called Altcoin Gordon on X, almost 1 million followers, said Bitcoin is about to leave many shocked and sidelines. Are you ready? And we keep hearing this. Are you ready? It's happening. It's about to come. It's like, no. He thinks that we're down here. on the psychology of market charts. We're not. We're in denial. We're in denial phase. Then we're going to be in panic phase, potentially in the first 6 months of 2026 as the market drops. And then we hit capitulation, where it's underneath where it says we are here. And that capitulation, there's still going to be more downside after capitulation. It doesn't mean we're immediately going into a bull run, but that could be the point that you start to flip from bearish to bullish on the market. Because like I said, I'm not bearish forever, but this cycle, people made more money in the stock market. Our thesis on this channel has made more money in the stock market than we did in crypto. And so, I mean, people are just doubling down on this thesis that, oh no, crypto is a better investment than stocks. It's like, no, it's not. Meanwhile, we're hearing Metaplanet has bought more Bitcoin, lifted their total holdings to $35,000. And so they keep buying and buying and buying and buying. And what happens to the Metaplanet stock? Lower, right? We're now at under 400 yen. So this is basically where we were at the beginning of 2025. We're now here at 2026. We go straight up and come straight down, and they've round tripped, right? People bought down here. They didn't sell up here. They're buying more on the way down and saying that they're more bullish than ever. Meanwhile, Bitcoin keeps going lower, and they keep raising effective debt to buy Bitcoin and giving financial gibberish to the market. Dylan, who works, I believe he's on the board at Metaplanet, he said with 21 billion Japanese yen, around $136 million US in proceeds received, Metaplanet is now officially an issuer of Bitcoin-backed perpetual preferred stock. And so they're doing the same thing MicroStrategy is doing. They're diluting the shareholders, making a share of Metaplanet less valuable than the preferred shares to raise money. And people still think that's bullish for the stock. In the long term, maybe it will be, right? If Bitcoin goes $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, maybe it will be. But right now, it's not bullish. It's actually bearish for the stock. And remember, just 6 months ago, the MicroStrategy bulls, in the middle of 2025, when I called the top of the market on this channel, they were saying, no, Cryptoviser, we're never going to have a 1 MNAV in MicroStrategy. It's not going to happen. We were close to 2 MNAV, right? Meaning the value was double what the underlying asset was. And now we're almost down to 1, and probably going lower than 1 because MicroStrategy has to keep selling shares to buy more. They have no cash flow, no cash flowing business, no actual business. It's just hoarding Bitcoin. And again, longer term, this is probably going to work out, right? But in the short term, in 2026, maybe into 2027, at least at the beginning of 2026, again, I'm trading the market in front of us, not next year or the year after that. I'm trading right now. It's going lower, right? I think MicroStrategy is definitely going under $100 just based on the historical data that I just showed you of Bitcoin having in the first half of the last cycle of where we're at. Now, if they have in the first half of this cycle of where we're at, we're going under 100. We're going to $75, potentially lower. I mean, look at the other Bitcoin treasury companies. They're all dropping. Peter Schiff said Strategy has been buying Bitcoin for 5 years with an average cost of $75,000. The company has a paper profit of just 16%. Think about that. Their average buy price is $75,000, and we're like at $80,000, $85,000 when I'm recording this. Like, that's not a really good investment, especially when silver 3x'd in a few weeks, right? He said that's an average annual rate of return of just 3%. MicroStrategy would have been better off had Michael Saylor just bought just about any other asset instead of Bitcoin. I mean, that's the data. Comic on X said investing in Fartcoin or MicroStrategy basically yielded the same result in 2025. You can see the 2025 chart for Fartcoin right here. It basically round tripped, right? It's down 65% on the 1 year, and MicroStrategy 61% down on the 1 year. Well, this is a 6 month, but basically the same thing. On the 1 year, it actually probably looks even worse. And so Comic also said investors would have made more money holding cash over MicroStrategy the last 2 years. That's how terrible of an investment strategy is and truly shows how much of a F Saylor is. Now, that's what he's saying. But, I mean, we're basically back at that price and potentially going lower. And a lot of the reason behind that is because they keep diluting the shareholders, not just by selling shares in the open market, but also these preferred shares. This further dilutes shareholders. And so there's going to be a point, like I said, that it is going to be a buy. But we have probably at least half a year to go before we start flipping to buy. And granted, we may have relief rallies in the meantime, but a relief rally is not a buy signal in my view. A relief rally is just a relief rally, right? It's a bull trap. We're not trying to get trapped in. There's no rush. Everybody's like rushing, like, Cryptoviser, but when should I start buying? When is the bottom? People are even saying the bottom was already hit. It's like, let's wait and see, right? Because in the last cycle, a lot of people were coming on my channel telling me, oh, Cryptoviser, you're wrong about Cardano. You're wrong about Bitcoin. We're not rotating into a bear market. And we're still not back at those numbers that Cardano was at when I said that. We've never recovered to those values. And so who was right? These commenters or Cryptoviser? Cryptoviser was right. And I may not always be right, but this is kind of where the market is. And it's not just MicroStrategy, it's also Jack Mallers' company that just merged. And we've covered the critiques, right? Why haven't they created a business yet of cash flowing? They've had 8 months since they announced that they were going to merge into this, Bitcoin treasury company. And they have done nothing in 8 months. It's like the rest of the crypto market, right? All these cryptos from the previous cycle, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to have this, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And basically, none of them have done shit this cycle. None of them have created any real value this cycle from the previous cycle. No major partnerships, no major integrations, no Wall Street interest. They're all just dumping. That's literally what it is. And the banks, they're creating their own coins while everybody's like, no, Cryptoviser, nobody wants a banker coin. It's like, no. The banks don't give a what you want. They're going to let you trade your coins and they're going to dump it on you. You will be the bag holder with no usage, no integrations, no real technological innovations, and no developers. The developers are cashing out also. The Bitcoin OG whales cashed out this cycle. And people are like, no, they're not. They're not. They're definitely not selling. It's like, they are. You're the bag holder. Not you, effectively, but you guys understand what I'm saying, the retail crowd. So Comic also said, Jack Mallers' XXI or 21 is at 52-week lows every day since the merger closed, saying it's really cool that our SPAC is mainly made up of retail investors supporting us. Rugs all the investors. And yeah, I mean, since they merged in December, it's been down ever since, right? 40% drop since the merger, and probably going lower because, again, no business. There's no business. There's no cash flow. So where do we invest? Well, you can invest in cash flowing businesses. That's definitely a good investment kind of thesis. Or you bet against these stocks and cryptos going higher. Because based on the halving chart, based on everything that we're seeing, based on the denial that we're already down from all-time record highs, and that we're just magically going to triple in price because silver did that, yeah, I'm not betting for that. I'm betting against it. And by the way, any of these rallies that we see, in my view, they're going to be bull traps in the first half of the year because we've already heard from the Federal Reserve that they don't want to keep cutting rates. And so what happens at the end of January is really going to set the tone for the next couple of months. And I'm looking forward to see what they do. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to give the video a free thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button. That way you never miss a new video. Happy New Year to everybody. 2026 is going to be a great year, but make sure that you guys understand what the market thinks is going to happen doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen. And we invest based on the data, not based on the emotions. Therefore, we know what to do. See you guys in the next video. As always, thanks for watching.